Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with Clay Thompson. What's up, guy?
It's Gucci.
Yeah, the best Clay impersonation you had to offer here. Huh? Alex is getting randoms on TikTok telling him he looks just like Clay Thompson, and he's always been told that as it is. So, I mean, add to it.
Yeah, too bad I'm 7 inches shorter and unathletic.
Unathletic, but a golfer. If you couldn't tell by his outfit, the guy is always ready to go play a round of 18.
Yes, sir.
36, maybe even 36.
That would be a great day. A day of 36 holes.
So instead of talking football, Alex and I, of course, Alex has dominated the conversation before in our pre-show, talking about where we're golfing in about a month. In a month's time, where we have free tickets to go golf at a certain course. And I'm going to name drop right now because over the weekend we had an event for my best friend, lost his daughter. We wanted to get together for him. This happened a few months ago, but we finally got this planned to happen in July for him. And we had it all planned. It's getting 12 different guys together to go out and meet up, show him love, support. And we had this whole day planned. We planned it about a month out. We had it booked. The course was ready. We got everyone who needed to call off work, got off their work. We get there at 8 a.m, which is a two-hour drive for me, about an hour for mostly everyone else. And they're like, we booked a scramble. And they booted us, dude. They gave us the old shimmy. It was insane. The fact that we didn't even hear anything about it the day before, the morning of, like nothing. It wasn't until we got there, like, yeah, we have a scramble booked. Like, terrible customer service. Terrible. So we have free tickets there, and Alex doesn't want to go there, probably halfly because of this. And I don't want to be back there, truthfully, but I do love me some free golf.
No way could a place like that get my business again. Like,
what's free business?
They offered free rounds. It's like, no, dude, this is a planned event. What's free rounds gonna do for that? I don't want to. I don't want to come back here.
Yeah, I mean the situation. Like, it's one thing to get 12 guys together. That's already a struggle. The situation was very much a set. Like, we're doing this, as a memorial outing. It was our version of that, and man, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I've never seen it's such a mess up. Like, how do you mess that up that bad?
Well, that doesn't happen. I would have closed my eyes and just started roundhousing everything in the pro shop. Just blind mayhem. Like Tasmanian devil, but with my eyes closed. Just
Well, we did. We made it work. We went to a place called Whiskeyville. If the name doesn't give that away, good for Whiskeyville. They've turned their golf course around. If you're near the area, it's somewhere up north in Ohio. It's a little bit cheaper. They had an opening on Saturday, but I mean, it makes sense, right? Whiskeyville, of course, they only place that we could find.
Sounds like a destination course to me.
It does, dude. It's not even near the lake. The course wasn't bad, though. I swear to you, it was pretty decent.
whatever you say.
Shout out to the Whiskeyville for getting us in there. But yeah, so both Alex and I are in the Columbus area. We are dealing with some heavy thunderstorms. So if one of us just pops off of the stream, good luck to the other, right? Is that the approach we're taking there?
Yeah.
Have fun.
I'm just going to start doing fat bastard scenes like for the audience. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, like I don't know what to do. We are talking AFC North, the King of the North. Alex, who's your King of the North this season? The AFC specifically.
In the AFC North?
Yeah. Who's your Giants?
Gonna go with the Bengals because I'm not that much of a prick.
Who's second? You got Browns?
Dude, it's hard. I feel like with the Browns, there's so much talent and they could be so good, but Kevin Stefanski's still the coach and it's the Browns. So I gotta go Ravens.
So I usually tend to agree with you. Like I am not the biggest fan of Stefanski as much as the rest of Cleveland is. Actually, a little bit getting more and more divided. I don't think he's terrible. I think he does some questionable things. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, pretty solid last season.
They still weren't winning games, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Offensively, it's like you have a Pro Bowl receiver, you have a Pro Bowl talent tight end, a Pro Bowl running back, and a good O-line. So, most QBs are looking good. That
Pro Bowl tight end, as talented as he is, yeah.
He was good last year.
He doesn't often finish out games, and he often misses some time each year.
For sure. It's the Browns.
Well, before we talk about the Browns, we're going to talk about your number one team here in the AFC North. We're going to kick off with the Bengals. So when we're talking Bengals, I mean, there ain't many options for sleepers, really. You kind of know how this offense is going to funnel through. So well, the first question, though, and this is maybe the lamest of the thing. We both are high on Joe Burrow this season. What do you have him? Maybe 5 or 6?
Might be like 4, 3.
Wow. I think you're higher than me, and I'm like all in on Burrow this season.
Let's see. I mean, I've changed it a decent amount, but I need to adjust my wide receiver rankings on my thinkings now. I have them 3.
Do you see mine by chance?
Clicking away.
Loud click.
4.
Dude.
You have them 4.
And you have them 3 yet. So we're both really high on him. But the real question is there a path where this guy can finish as the QB1 overall?
Yes. There's
What's up, Albert?
Hey, Albo.
Hello.
Hi, Pooh. Yeah, there's just so much talent around. The biggest issue with the Bengals has been like injuries, but I think if O-line plays pretty solid, Mixon's healthy most of the year, and the main person that's going to determine this offense really is Higgins. He just opens up the game so much for both him and Jamar Chase. But he gets hurt in the weirdest ways. So if you
can say what you want, dude. I'm not gonna get mad.
I like T. He has huge games and he has games where he kind of disappears, and it's usually because he like gets turf toe or something, a concussion. But yeah, he definitely could have a number 1 season, and it's everybody wants to focus on rushing, like your QB
number 1 overall, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
For sure. So, everybody wants to focus on the rushing talent of QBs like Hurts and Allen and Herbert. Burrow is more similar to Pat Mahomes, where he's probably not going to run for yardage a ton, but he can sling it better than everybody not named Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And even when I was writing this out, I was like, I think the day I was writing this, right? I'm not saying it now, but I was like, even the days of a QB1 overall that doesn't run is long gone. And then I was like, wait, I mean, Patty was 1 overall. He doesn't do much on the ground. He scrambles a ton. I get that. but he does it all with his arms as far as points are concerned. And I think Joe is up for like an MVP like sort of season, but it's tough. It's tough to get that QB1 overall. I mean, you look at 2 and 3, guess who it was? Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So the thing you were just saying is exactly how I had it noted. We don't have an extension for him yet. We don't have an extension for T yet. That's fire. That's fire under both of them. I have a feeling at least one of those will be done by season start.
Probably.
But you talk about if it's not, dude, that's fire for both of them to outperform. It's a dynamic duo on the receiving threat. So let's talk about them a little bit more. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Do you think they both could finish in the top 12?
I think they could. I don't have that happening. I think Jamar Chase easily could finish in the top 10. With Higgins, I just think he's going to miss games. It isn't one of those things where it's like, is he? He is going to miss games. I mean, I just don't see him playing every game, and that's probably going to push him outside the top 12. But points per game wise, I definitely can see both of them being in the top 12 this year.
We used to text about how Zach Taylor was just destroying us last season, where they were like, T is good, he's going to play.
Yeah.
Then 2 snaps. You see 2 snap T. It was the worst. That's the worst situation for fantasy owners. I'd rather he be out. Let me try to plan ahead. I can't bench T.
It was I don't think I was more mad last season besides Higgins getting injured 2 plays into the game, or them saying he was questionable, that more than likely he's going to play and he doesn't play a snap.
He played a snap. He would play a snap.
And then, there's so many games where he's hurt within the first 2 quarters, and you're just like, come on, what the hell am I doing?
We have a question from an anonymous person. Would you rather have Jerry Jeudy and 2 firsts or Breece Hall?
Oh, is this the spokesperson for ballpark hot dogs?
He made some Hebrew National over the weekend, dude.
Oh, did he? Who's he trying to impress?
I guess me and Paul.
What boys came over?
Me and Paul did. He brought out the Hebrew Nationals, dude.
What did he say? Jeudy and 2 Breece?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy. He does know I want Jeudy, but he's, he thinks Jeudy now is Jerry Rice. So,
yeah. So back to Chase and T. Higgins. I think it doesn't happen too much in any seasons that you get a pair of wide receivers in top 12. It's getting closer though, right? Like last year we did have a pair. I think it was Waddle and Tyreek, but they would. Am I wrong when I say Devontae didn't make top 12? Did he? Total points.
Devontae Adams,
Smith. Devontae Smith.
Total.
He might have.
He might have been.
He might have actually. So we might have had 2 pairs in the top 12. Yeah, 9
Devontae
sounds about right.
Was wide receiver 5.
He was 8. Brian said.
Well, I think he was wide receiver 5 the second half of the season.
So Waddle, we had Tyreek, Waddle, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith all in the top 12. So we had 2 different pairs, which is, I think it's very uncommon, but we're seeing that more. So I do also think that obviously you guys know my love for T. It's never actually happened with Higgins and Chase, so it means more than likely this year, right? Chase has even dealt with injuries over last year.
Yeah, but he's just a better wide receiver. I remember the argument you used to say, it was always like Bengals fans and Browns fans. Browns fans would always argue that Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were the same, or Kareem Hunt was better, which blew my mind.
Browns fans?
There's a lot of
generalize me
Browns
in that
fans.
group.
They'd be like,
Kareem
Hunt's better. I'm not saying you, but a lot of Browns fans. And then it's a lot of Bengals fans like, well, T is just as good as Chase. And I'm like, no, this is not true. You don't watch football. T is big. He's big. He's a tree.
When I have spoke about the T versus Chase thing, I had stats that showed exactly their target share and everything. I would never say talent-wise that T is as good. I think he is overshadowed absolutely by Jamar Chase. I think T has an ability that Jamar doesn't, and same goes by both. Like Jamar is actually really good at some of the things that T is very good at, where T can't necessarily bring that speed, can't necessarily bring those routes that he runs. But T high points a ball better than some of the I would say is in the top 3 in the game right now.
I would
That's
agree with
that's his
top
game.
10, maybe top 5.
I'm not saying he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. I'm saying
I
like
understand. You're saying high ball. I get what you're saying.
yeah, he's so good at it, dude, and he makes
He's
some
very
really
good.
great grabs.
He's very good. But I could see the top 5 argument.
Brian said to chill about hurting our Browns' feelings here. The last person on this offense, we're not going to really get into Joe Mixon. We'll definitely get more into him if we haven't already enough, which we have talked about him a ton so far. Is Irv Smith a sneaky sleeper this season?
No, he's not. I've heard this
No?
for 3 years straight.
No,
He's a
Irv?
sleeper. He's so good. They traded for a better tight end and let him
No,
go.
Irv Love?
No, man. I mean, he has games where he's like, oh, he looks solid. Oh, could he be Evan Ingram? And you're like, no, he can't. He's
So
not
who
that
can he be
good.
this year? Can he be Hayden Hurst?
Maybe you start him twice in the entire season. That could happen.
My exact. I was one of the ones that were burned on Irv last year, not consistently. I was just in last
dorks.
year. And my thought is, if he stays healthy, he will have a better than an ADP finish.
Yeah.
But what's that, max tight end 15? Like, there's just not enough work here, I don't think. Unless, for whatever reason, Deju dominates red zone targets.
Not happening.
No, I doubt it, too.
Not when you have 2 phenomenal receivers and
then a
and
running
possibly a very good running back. There's no way they're targeting for you.
Yeah, and even Boyd's a good red zone weapon.
Yeah. No.
It puts you 5th in the pecking order.
Nobody should draft Irv Smith.
He'll outperform that ADP. I'm almost confident to say that.
What's his ADP?
I like 24.
Well, maybe he is tight end 24 this year.
I could see him finishing like tight end 15.
I could see him finishing
That's.
tight end
I think
50.
that's peak.
He's
Well, if I said if healthy though,
he's a pile of crap and a brown bag on fire.
Jeez,
You don't want it.
Brian's not even happy that we're talking about Irv, so we're gonna keep it moving here. The dude's never happy.
I was gonna say, what's Positive Peter doing over there?
Yeah. Wait. That's why his newborn is so cry right now, is because she's like, I owe you this for all the years that you've brought pain on my life. You know, I've had to deal with this guy forever.
Yeah, that RBF stink is affecting the baby.
Let's go to the Steelers. Here's a question. You ready for it? Where's House? You know he would jump all over this.
House is in a house probably right now.
Does Kenny Pickett take a leap ski this year?
I think he is better. Leap. I don't know, how far that reaches out. I think he improves, but it's going to be a tough division. I think he does have talented receivers, but they're still receivers that they themselves are guys that you're like hoping takes a leap. I think he does have a better year, but it's still not going to be great. I think he might be somebody you could keep like in a super flex, or QB2 league, finishes QB20. That could happen. But I don't know. I don't hate him. I like him more than I did last year and that I thought I would. It's going to be tough. He's going to be throwing the ball a lot.
I think there's an argument to be made. He might be a buy in Dynasty.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I just think he's getting a little slept on by the entire league right now. And we're talking about a guy that Tomlin essentially decided before the offseason, like, I can work with this. This can be my quarterback. They decided that, right? They didn't make any moves for a quarterback. They didn't try to say, okay, we're trading up to get a quarterback. And there were some pretty solid quarterbacks this draft. And they said, nope, Kenny Pickett's our guy. And I get it. They would have had to give a little bit more capital, but they're not gonna be in the top 10 next year. They know that. Tomlin never is he? Has Tomlin ever had a top 10 draft pick?
I
I don't think he has. I think he's had so many winning seasons under
No.
Big Ben, and then his worst was 8-9, 7-10 maybe. So and even that's hard, dude.
No.
They decided we're gonna roll with Pickett. You have, in my opinion, one of the best coaches. The offensive coordinator is a joke. I think Canada's still there. You have one of the best head coaches that you could possibly have in this league. And the offense has its parts, and we'll talk about this. But, I mean, they have a reliable RB, maybe not the most efficient. They have 2 wide receivers. One's a great possession wide receiver. The other one's a freak athlete. And then they have the most, I'm going to say it, maybe the most underrated tight end of the league this season.
Oh, baby Gronk.
Baby Gronk, the move.
Baby Gronk.
I don't know, man. I think he's being slept on a little bit. I'm not saying, oh, here comes top 12 finish. I can't say that. I just think they're taking their time developing him, and I think that's fine. That's why I think in Dynasty more so in redraft, I'm interested in Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I mean, I would not hate having him in Dynasty because he is a guy that – right, and he's a guy who in a year could end up becoming very good. I mean, this is going to be a telling year too. His first year as a starter. You just hope it's not like a Baker Mayfield thing where it's like you get one good season out of him and then it's just wishy-washy for the next 2 seasons.
There's a lot of situations that make it really hard to replicate the Baker Mayfield situation. Let me just say that.
I don't know. Besides it being the Browns and the Steelers, like
yeah, well, Baker that's the number one.
Baker had athletes. He had
athletes, but he had no head coach. He had no support there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Besides the coaching and like the name,
it's your
like
staple. It's your staple. He had Freddie Kitchens.
I get it. And Baker could have a turnaround this year. You never know. But I wouldn't say Pickett is in. He's in a better situation because he does have a coach that has security who is good, who typically doesn't have very bad seasons. Probably had 2 ever, and bad isn't even that bad. It would have been a solid season for the Browns, but
and they don't play the little stuff either. Baker got away with a lot. Off field. Nothing too far, but it was a lot of stuff that he was doing off field that was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
the tweets. He was doing commercials after year 1. See, I don't know. Is Kenny Pickett doing commercials in Pittsburgh? Maybe.
Was he going to do like commercials for Brick Lane?
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, Pittsburgh ain't bad. It ain't bad. It's a lot of bricks and old bricks.
You know what? We talk about Brian Hayden and everything. You're just right there. Like outside of pizza and golf and maybe Chicago, you just say everything. And the Pats.
Patriots #1.
So let's get into this a little bit more because you talk about Pickett. We both aren't super excited on him for the year, but maybe a little bit more upside in Dynasty. Me especially, I think he's a buy. Are there pass catchers on this offense that are currently undervalued at ADP? Like, are you in on any of these guys?
I think there's a big year for Pickens. I don't know. Undervalued because it could turn into just
like right around wide receiver 40, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think he is undervalued. I think he's going to turn into the #1 guy at the Steelers. He's just more athletic. He's just a better talent than Dante. He's just better. He's the guy.
Do they take more shots downfield?
For sure, they have to. They're gonna. I mean, they've got a good defense and a healthy defense this year. But their run game the last couple of years hasn't been very good. They're going to throw the ball. They're going against teams that are going to be putting up points. They're going to be throwing the ball. This is Cody's breakout player. He picked Pickens. It wouldn't surprise me, man. It really wouldn't.
And he expressed his love, and there's some good points there. So if you guys haven't checked out our breakout episode, Cody talks about Pickens even a little bit further. I actually I have been ending up with a ton of Freiermuth. If you couldn't tell by my earlier comments, most underrated in the season, I think. Let me just give you some stats here. 98 targets last season. Pretty solid.
That's good.
60 receptions in his first 2 years, both seasons. So 60 and 63, I think, last year. go to advanced metrics a little bit and watching his jump from year 1 to year 2. His air yards share has doubled from year 1 to year 2. His target share jumped from 13% to 19%. Yards per route run from 1.45 to 1.82. We know where this is coming from, though. He's getting a ton of the volume that Najee used to get. He's getting that volume. He's getting those routes. He's getting that target share. I mean, he's going to be heavily involved. We have no Claypool. He is the third weapon, essentially, and that's a fine place to be in an offense, especially if you believe they will have more opportunities. So, last stat on this. He had 10 red zone targets last year. It's not amazing.
No.
The year before, he had 20, though. And he was first in the league for tight ends. So he's had 30 through his first 2 years.
Yeah, I think he's good. I don't know what this offense for sure is going to look like. I think Pickens is going to get targeted. Deontay's going to get targeted. Najee and Freiermuth are my biggest question marks. I think more of a question mark with Najee. But Freiermuth could easily be a top 10.
He decreases his targets, right?
It could be similar. I don't see it drastically going up. He's not Hawk. He's not.
I'm not asking for 150.
Well, I'm not. I don't think he's. I think 100 is his ceiling.
No, I don't. I don't agree.
Yeah,
I don't agree
100 targets. I do.
I don't. I feel like
you're expecting more of a target share with Pickens being more developed.
I don't know if I truly am. I don't think so. Well, there's no Claypool. Najee's receiving game has been almost backseated, especially I guess you could argue Jalen Warren is going to steal some targets. I don't know where you're expecting these targets to go outside of Pickens. This is a team that's still going to throw we can almost count on them throwing at least 500 times, right?
Probably close to it.
Yeah, so we got what? Even if both these receivers, which Deontay usually commands, I don't know what his target share or target number was last year. I'm assuming it's been 135 to 150 for the past 3.
Yeah, it's probably going to be around 130 again this year.
And what you're hoping for is Pickens to get right around 130, is my assumption.
Yes.
So that it still leaves plenty of space for Moose to get at least 100.
How many tight ends had over 100 targets? That's what I want to know.
Do you have it pulled?
I'm looking. I think it's 4.
4 last season. Only 4 had 100 targets.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. And Freiermuth was 6 in targets in tight end.
There's one with 99 targets.
There. Let me see. Evan Ingram, I think, had 1 more target.
Oh, you're right. 98 is what I see.
Also same, yeah. Okay, that makes more. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think he's getting plenty of target share. I think
he's close to the Higbee number. Well, 108 to 115.
I just don't see his target shares going up. I don't see him getting over 100 targets this year. And if he's not tight end 5 or tight end 6 with being, that many targets.
He had 2 touchdowns last season.
Yeah, 2. I don't know how much that increases.
Do you think Pickens is going to steal touchdowns?
Yeah, man. Have you seen him get go after fades and jump balls? He's very good.
He's athletic. He's kind of like a raw prospect of a wide receiver.
He's not super raw. He is raw, but he is not he was good at Georgia. It wasn't he's just coming from nothing. Oh, the guy just does, he just gets jump balls.
All right, we can keep going here. We got to talk more about this team. I've already expressed my love for Najee on the breakout show. Alex, do you have a good feeling about him? You can make this short, sweet. You can talk about him, whatever you want to do. I have my notes from that show, which was the breakout episode. I have those notes. I was going to read them fast. Do you want me to kick off?
Sure.
once he removed the steel plate from his shoe in week 6, he was RB13 in points per game. So it's not amazing. He goes as RB12, RB13 in your drafts. A little further out, though, the last 6 weeks of the season, he finished as RB5 total points and RB9 points per game. The real thing that I'm excited for to see with Najee, because he really has had the worst offensive line, like one of the worst offensive lines, a bottom half offensive line since he's been in the league. They added 4 new offensive linemen, 2 guards, 2 tackles to this line. They started to turn that around a little bit late last season. They grabbed the right guard from the Eagles. They got him for 3 years, 24 mil. I mean, then the other 30 guys are solid depth fighting for roles. The last point I made was the Steelers schedule. Listen to this schedule. I mean, it's not the whole schedule, but the teams that I picked out: the Raiders, Jags, Packers, the Browns 2 times, which you would love me saying that because who knows what their defense looks like every year. Although I do expect it to be better. The Bengals twice, Cards, Colts, Seahawks, all teams that like I don't expect to have amazing rush defenses. Raiders are a little bit better than the rest of them in this crowd in my mind, but even them, they're much more better attacking against the pass than they are against the rush. But I don't know. I see a big year for Najee. I don't want to go crazy and say I'm putting him in my top 3. I just think he's going to become more efficient. So I almost am taking this as a breakout year. Maybe I should explain that on the show. I almost think this is a breakout year for him. Looks better, plays better. I don't necessarily I'm not banking on him being a top 3 guy. I think I have him at running back 10 or 11.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the opportunities, and that's realistically all it is.
Half the battle. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest, he's the most inefficient running back who gets over 250 carries. He is. The guy is not efficient.
And today's, yeah.
I mean, he's averaged, 290 carries in his first 2 years and averaged
3.9.
3.9 yards per carry.
Josh Jacobs.
Well,
yeah, you get you in trouble again, dude.
Jacobs' rookie season, I think, had 4.5. But Najee the O-line wasn't great. But to be honest, it does. If it is great, I think your ceiling's 4.3 yards per carry.
Which is, I mean, that's think of that on 260 carries, 270.
Yeah, I mean that puts him fantasy wise.
High.
Probably if he's getting 275 carries and 4.3 yards per carry, I mean he's gonna probably be an RB 10, top 10 RB. But it's ugly. It is just it is literally just a touch game. It is ugly. He's bad. There's nobody who is close in how inefficient it was with over 250 carries or 230 carries. Who was really inefficient as well last year too? Kamara.
I didn't even see Kamara's.
Zeke. Mixon didn't have a good year last year, but he only played this limited amount of games. He was injured, but Najee stinks it up for somebody who's going to consistently be a top 10 touches guy for an RB. He's going to be. It'd be crazy to me if he finished outside the top 10 and he had top 10 touches. It's just a volume thing.
I know this next line is going to get you on a ramble, so I don't want that to happen. It was just weird because Najee looked so athletic in college. Anytime I watched him play for Alabama, dude, he ran well.
It's a mirage there.
You see, Alabama, they always have the strongest line, and it makes the running back look way better.
Trent Richardson got a Heisman Trophy.
Do you think Najee is Trent?
Yes, 100%.
Whoa!
100%.
You didn't even hold back. You've already thought about this. That was a decision that you already had preset before I even said this.
I just don't think he's very good, and I think if Trent Richardson was on the Steelers when instead of going to the Browns, if he went to the Steelers, a better team, if he went to a better run organization, he would have had the exact same stats, and he would have gotten more opportunities. The Browns knew he wasn't great, and they got rid of him and paid off getting the first-round pick for him. But Najee, nobody's throwing a first-round pick at Najee. Nobody's throwing a second-round pick, and probably not a third-round pick to Najee in real life.
Well, yeah, Alex, how many RBs are getting a third round? Eckler can't even make Gallup money right now, dude. So slow your roll on that, right? Nobody's getting that anymore. DeAndre Swift getting a fourth should tell us all we need to know.
I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than Najee Harris.
And he doesn't even play half the year.
I'd rather have him. Najee's just
you had that decision already decided. Like you didn't think about it. You already knew it. That's insane. Trent was bad. Trent couldn't see anything.
I mean, and again, the Steelers O-line was not good last year. If they are good this year,
I hope
he could be very, very good fantasy wise. But am I expecting him to average more than 4.3 yards per carry? No. Even with a good O-line, I don't think so. He's not efficient. He's just big, and you can't find holes because he's bigger than the hole.
Dude, this was eye-opening for me.
RB.
I'm not saying Najee's like amazing, but that
he's not good.
That's just as bold of a take. I mean, you think about like RB busts in the last 20 years. Trent's the biggest one, right?
Easily. And then probably Peyton Hillis.
Well, Peyton didn't have that capital.
Peyton Hillis was like a second round. He was going like top 3 rounds in fantasy the year after he broke 1,000 yards.
Yeah, but I'm saying like straight up NFL players. Hillis didn't have much draft capital.
After this 1 year, he did. Oh, you mean like real draft?
NFL? Yeah.
Real NFL. Yeah.
No. Peyton. Yeah.
No, I don't.
Trent was top 5 pick, right? 4th.
Yeah, it was bad. That was a bonehead move.
I don't even think Peyton Hillis was first 4 rounds. Not to go back to that.
Probably not. I don't think so.
Yeah, but he did fall off crazy. But I don't want to get too caught up in going down this rabbit hole. I know I could already see your wheels turning. Let's go to the Ravens. We talk about the Ravens. I would say one of the top 5 teams that we talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times that I've said Todd Monken this season is insane. So I don't want to get too deep here, and I'll probably leave more of the talking to you. But the most important question is, the Ravens signed Melvin Gordon.
Yes, they did.
J.K. Dobbins, truthers, myself included, are in shambles right now.
Should be.
I'm almost all out again. I went from getting all back in to almost all out again. What are you doing in this RB situation?
Getting Gus Edwards. That's what I'm getting.
You made the title. We made this topic has made the title. You need to speak more to it.
I think there's a good chance that Dobbins is dumb enough to sit out for a contract where he hasn't even played a full year of football, and Gus is pretty good.
Uh-oh. We lost Alex. The storm has hit him tough. We knew this was coming. Alex? Oh, man. So Alex was going to mention that Gus Edwards is the sleeper this year that could win your league. That was what his notes have. He said Dobbins holding out and never being healthy is hilarious to me. So he lost power. So I'm going to kind of go through. Yeah, it is unlucky. I don't think he has power right now. We also, that means I'm next, by the way, because he is a little bit more west. But he has Dobbins holding out and never being healthy is hilarious to me. He believes that Gordon is there for pass catching. He thinks Edwards could have a Jamal Williams type of year if Dobbins sits out. So if you're in the chat, do you agree with that assessment based on Gus Edwards? I'm getting Alex texting me now. My take on this backfield, I don't want any of it anymore. I did love J.K. Dobbins. And unless you promised me Gus would receive about 225 plus, I don't know if I could trust that. But I mean, it's a free pick. So you go with Gus Edwards, it's free. I was all in on JK this season, as I mentioned earlier, but those are ranks that I think I need to adjust based on what has recently happened. Our whole group has a love for Lamar Jackson right now. Alex a little bit less in Dynasty, but we have him ranked pretty high. I don't want to I kind of want to bypass talking about Lamar. I'd rather talk about his pass catchers. And the thing that I want to talk about is outside of Mark Andrews, there's a few guys that I'm still looking at this season. What's crazy to me is how different of an opinion on basically every player me and that. Are you saying you agree with him or you disagree completely? What's crazy to me is how different of an opinion on basically every player me and Alex can have. Are you saying you agree with him? I got confused by that wording. There are some guys that I'm interested in taking flyers on in the Baltimore pass catchers. Like they're going pretty late. Flowers and Bateman are wide receiver 45 and wide receiver 46 off the board. So 88.5 and 89.8 ADP. So typically you only end up getting one of those guys. And I honestly tend to take my shot more with Bateman. But I think that's typically because I tend to get a lot of rookies in the late rounds. And I don't want to overexpose to rookies. So I tend to take Bateman more for that very specific reason. I think I do trust Zay more than Bateman at this point, though. I trust his health more. The upside seems larger because it's unknown. We've kind of had that discussion about players when they're rookies or you haven't seen them before. There's just high upside that you're excited to see how it comes out. So if I was looking at my redraft and it came down to Zay or Bateman, depending on how my build is of my team, if I'm planning on taking more rookies, I might go Bateman, but usually I would trust Zay Flowers a little bit more there. I like the flyers on these guys. I think it's worth it. I think if we're all counting on Lamar bouncing back, I get it. He runs a ton, but it's a different offensive coordinator. I think there's something to like there. I don't know. Still waiting on Thomas's response on this. Oh, let's get to the Browns. I had a question here planned for Alex to express his love for Deshaun Watson. I'm gonna kind of read his short piece. He thinks he could be a top 5 QB in the league, and if he isn't, it's because of Stefanski's trash play calling. I don't have Watson ranked this high. And I think that's part of the Browns bias that I have. I love the Browns, and it's just we don't get to see this often. So I know that it shouldn't skew my view. It's just I find it hard to believe that Watson returns to the Texans form. I'm not saying I have him low either. I think I have him right around 10 or 11, close to what he's going to ADP. But I've been wondering what this offense looks like, because if you expect Watson to go top 5, top 6 in the league, where do you value, this is what I would ask Alex, where do you value some of these other guys outside of Cooper, outside of Chubb? So like, who's the playmaker that could potentially be had later in drafts on this team? I actually have it as Elijah Moore. I think there's a lot to like about Elijah. We haven't seen much from Donovan Peoples-Jones. I get it. We haven't seen much from Elijah Moore either, but we haven't seen DPJ do anything for fantasy through 3 years for fantasy. Elijah, you have a little bit more upside. Guy has speed, going to be likely used more in shorter routes. There already has been some training camp hype for Elijah. I'm a little bit more in on Elijah. I don't tend to draft Njoku. I've seen him. We mentioned it at the top of the show. I've seen him never really finish a game or finish a season. Like he has some boom games, but he tends to often either come off the field or sit a few games. I get that tight ends are typically like that, but I just think you could find somebody else that you might get for a better price that does close to the same thing. We did talk about Nick Chubb too, because Alex is still grossly lower on Nick Chubb. And if you guys haven't seen DebateGate Part 1, I have a little bit of highlights of my argument about Nick Chubb and why he should dominate this season. RB6, RB12, RB8, RB11 the last 4 years in points per game. In 2019, he saw 33 targets in 8 games, no Kareem Hunt. Offense wants Chubb to get the ball, and it sounds like he's going to be more involved in the pass. Coming off the year with his most carries, I don't necessarily expect him to get 300 carries, but I expect him to be more involved in the pass game, especially with no Kareem Hunt there. I'm higher on Chubb. I think he's going to be a steal. I think there was a tweet out there today that asked, should you take Chubb in your first round? And I actually have in a mock draft. I took him, I think 9th or 10th, and I took him over Barkley at this point. And my message about that is like, if the season was to start tomorrow, I don't think Barkley plays, but obviously I would probably take Barkley before Chubb if that contract situation gets resolved. But I'm super high on Chubb. I think this could be a huge year for him. I think there's a lot of uncertainty at the running back position. So I think there's some certainty with Chubb. Obviously injuries happen. You never really know with any of the guys you're drafting. So it gets a little bit tough that way. I think that about does it for the episode. I don't think Alex is going to be rejoining us because he's fighting his internet. If you guys have any questions about the AFC North, make sure you reach out. We'll be answering them. I think let me check the schedule here. On Wednesday, we have, it's another debate gate. Me, Norton, and Robbie. So we'll be talking about a random assortment of players. Somebody hopped on from the Dad Bod. Are you solo? Yes, I'm solo. Alex lost internet. I don't know. I got to look at Elijah right now. On Wednesday, we'll do our debate gate part 2. Me, Norton, and Robbie. In the meantime, we have a couple of big things coming for you guys as far as a Dad Bod episode. And we also have our top 250 being in the work still. So we'll be getting that out to you shortly. If you're not already, check us out on Twitter at DadBodFS. For myself, for what used to be Alex, peace out. We love you.
Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're